What's up? What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever coast that you're on. This is Kay from In the Basement with Next Step and Kay from the In the Basement podcast. How's everybody doing? It's just been great to see you guys. I've missed you guys so much. It's been a wild and crazy summer, a great summer nonetheless. Your boy Kay from In the Basement from Next Step and Kay definitely got engaged over the summer. Great Olympics. Great fantasy leagues that I'm in too as well. I'm actually in about three of them. So shout out to the fantasy football for In the Basement podcast, fantasy football. Also shout out to the Gridiron Gurus fantasy football league, and also shout out to my man Reg. This is his first time doing his fantasy football, so I definitely wish him success. I'm also in his league as well. The Goodfellas League. So shout out to everybody in the Goodfellas League. I'm coming to conquer after September the 8th. So get ready. But how's everybody doing? Labor Day weekend coming up. Can't wait. I just wanted to talk to you guys, about some upcoming some predictions with the NFL. Also, I'm going to go over my fantasy roster as well. You're more than welcome to share your fantasy roster as well when you can. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk me and Larry together on the podcast whenever we get some time. Our work schedules are pretty much they're conflicting with each other, so I don't get that much time to get on there with him to do the podcast. I know we did a fantasy draft. I think my draft selections were the best. I'm just going to just say that because I got Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk got his money. Congratulations that you got your money. Also, shout out to CD Lamb. He also got his money as well. So hopefully you guys will play, and whoever picks CD Lamb, hopefully he'll do numbers for you guys. But I got Brandon Ayuk; he should be doing numbers for me for San Fran. Um, Other than that, yeah, what's going on with everybody? And also, I also want to talk about like Anthony Edwards' comments. He was asked. I definitely want to get into that. Um, he was pretty much asked about like '90s basketball. Basically, let me just pull it up here. Let me just pull it up for you real quick. One moment. Do, 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 do. Here we go. Here he said. Okay, one moment here. Let's see. News. Yeah. Basically, the question was this, and he answered. I quote like, "No player from the '90s had ability beyond Michael Jordan, who really had like that skill set back in the '90s." And some of the '90s players are starting to like fire back, especially the ones that got drafted in like the '90s, early '90s, mid '90s. Also, Magic Johnson also had some things to say to not to Anthony Edwards, but about what he said in regards like to the skill set in regards to Michael Jordan, because different eras had different people that dominated. Like in the '60s, you had like the Will Chamberlains, you had the Bill Russells, you also had the Elgin Baylors. Who else? Elgin Baylors, Al Attles, may he rest in peace, from the Golden State Warriors. Also, you had the Wes Unselds. In the '70s, you pretty much had the same. Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robinson. They also came into the fray, and then also in the '80s, and you had Larry Bird. Of course, the emergence of Jordan. Jordan really wasn't dominant until like the late '80s, early '90s. But you still had the Pistons to deal with. You still had every team basically. I want to say every team, even the bad teams, like had a killer. And I talked to different people over the week after I heard that I talked to Dr. Kyle. Shout out to Dr. Kyle from the Black Psychologist podcast. I also got a chance to talk to some of my older coworkers here at Esperanza. Shout out to the Gridiron Gurus, Net League, and we pretty much all shared like the same sentiments basically. He's talking about the skill set with Michael Jordan, but I mean, and Kevin Garnett actually took it a step further and said, "Listen, like I don't even think you would even be able to play in our era." And not because of the skill set, just because of the sheer physicality. I think the NBA is been a little bit more open and freewheeling now. So you're a little bit more free with offense. So, but if we're talking like '90s basketball, we're talking like Knicks, we're talking Bulls, we're talking Lakers, we're talking, Milwaukee, we're talking Charlotte. I mean, these are just like some of the light teams that I'm talking about Like, you also have, you got Detroit, you got the Houston, San Antonio's, things of that sort. And I don't think, I mean, shout out to my man Chris. We were talking about that um, yesterday morning when I got got the pleasure of talking to him and pick his brain about what Anthony Edwards said, and I'm not sure if Anthony Edwards can really go head to head with and we gave up that example of like playing against like maybe Latrell Sprewell or something like that. Same position, pretty much same height. I think Latrell Sprewell was like 6'5", 6'6". Anthony Edwards is like 6'4", 6'5". So it's kind of even matchup. Same type of build, same two-way defensive, offensive intensity. But I would love to see like that matchup between the Latrell. I mean, I'm talking. It can either be ballhead Latrell Sprewell from the Golden State Warriors. It could be mini fro Latrell Sprewell, All Star Latrell Sprewell, or it could be braided Latrell Sprewell. Either or. But yeah, I don't think I don't know if Anthony Edwards thought that whole statement out. I think when I heard some of his like his soundbite, he said I didn't watch '90s basketball that much, and that's where he should have stopped at. He should just stop right there, and then someone would have probably educated him on it. Like, yeah, it was a little bit more physical. You could hand check and things of that sort. But like Kevin Garnett was right. In the '90s, we weren't doing those triple step travel step backs and then a jump shot. No, it was like you might do a side step, a side step, maybe two dribble pull up or something like that, maybe three dribble pull up or maybe between the legs, go up. But there was no, there might be a hint of maybe a side step, maybe a Euro step. Shout out to Drasen Petrovic, may he rest in peace. Some of the international players were doing it, but yeah, I'm sorry, Ant Man. Like every team, even the bad teams, had somebody for you. Even like the teams in the '90s that were bad. Like the Miami. No, I'm not gonna say the Miami Heat. I'm gonna say Sacramento, like the Sacramento Kings or something like that, or before KG came, Minnesota Timberwolves, things of that sort. Vancouver Grizzlies, the Toronto Raptors. Like um, they actually had like, killers on that team, 24, 25, 26, per game point scores. And, they could really deal with Ant-Man. They might not be, that much offensive, but defensively, oh yeah. Oh yeah, they'll lock him up. I mean, no disrespect to Ant Man because Ant Man is definitely gifted. Definitely offensively gifted. Like he's a monster. But in the '90s, it's different, man. The skill sets were different. They shot more mid range. I mean, they shot a lot of threes too. Don't get me wrong. Like the Golden States, the Miamis, anybody that had like a sniper on there. Seattle's another team that shot a lot of threes. Sacramento's another team that shot a lot of threes. I would mention the Clippers, but no. But even on the Clippers, like back then, they had killers. Like you had the Ron Harpers, you had your Danny Mannings, Doc Rivers, you had your guards, Lorenzo Wright, may he rest in peace. Um, but yeah, so I can't wait to see what they're gonna have in store for Ant Man this year. But I just definitely want to touch on that. Just let me know how you guys feel in the comments. Also don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, definitely want to get a little preview on on the upcoming NFL season. I'm not going to go team by team per se. I'll probably save that for next week. But I just want to give you a quick breakdown of what's going on. So far, so good. I'm gonna start with the AFC East real quick. The AFC East, my prediction of how everybody's going to finish. I'm not going to give any type of like any numeric records or predictions because I don't want to curse my team. Shout out to my Jets. You already know. All gas, no brakes. In the AFC East, I have I pretty much got the Bills, starting at number one because everything goes through the Bills for right now. Even though the Bills have taken a couple steps back, they've lost a couple weapons. Um, Number two, I got the Jets in Miami. Jets in Miami, they can flip and flop through 2 and 3. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, we're going to the playoffs. Like that's a wrap because we've already revamped our offensive line. Hopefully, we can keep him upright. He can stay, he can stay upright after like 4 snaps. I hear the snickers and the jokes coming. Maybe he might do 5 snaps, and something might happen. But no, I don't think so. I think Aaron Rodgers is prime. Even though he lost a couple steps, I think he's prime for another MVP type, caliber season. I think he wants to prove the naysayers wrong. So I can't wait to see him in his another debut against the 49ers on Monday Night Football coming up next week. Number three, I got Miami. Miami, like I said, they're going to flip and flop, between those two, 2 and 3 with Miami and the Jets. But I know who's going to finish last in that division. That's going to be New England because one, I don't bang with y'all like that because I'm a Jets fan. Two, there's a new coaching regime, so that's going to take some growing pains. And then three, who's going to be their quarterback? I don't even know who's their quarterback. According to most magazine publications, I think I don't even know. It's going to be Drake May. I mean, who's it going to be? Um, I thought it was Jacoby Brissett. Who knows? In AFC West, um, I have Kansas City. All roads go through Kansas City so far. They're trying to go for the three-peat. I think they might just do it, just depending on their schedule and depending who they see in the playoffs. Number two, I got the Los Angeles Chargers. Even though they lost some personnel, but they would be number one. But like I said before, all things go through Kansas City so far. Las Vegas, I have at number three because they still haven't got that quarterback situation lined up. I think some people are going to be leaving after the season. If they have another disappointing season like they had last year, I think some people will be leaving. And number four, I got Reggie sorry ass Denver Broncos. I'm about to call them the Denver Nuggets, but yeah, I got shout out to Reg and the Goodfellas, the commissioner of the Goodfellas Fantasy Football League. But I got your sorry ass team, Denver. I got them finishing last in your division, so no playoffs for you. Definitely playoffs for the Chargers and Kansas City. For the AFC North, of course, we got Baltimore at the top. Cincinnati, and I think they're going to flip and flop too. That's going to be like because that AFC North is like it's like a gauntlet. Um, I didn't get a chance to check entirely the Jets schedule, but I think we have a couple games in the AFC North. So hopefully we can get out that dogfight with all limbs intact. Number two, I got Cincinnati, but that could flip with Baltimore depending on who gets out, who gets the more wins first in the division. Cleveland, I have at number three. Great, great positioning like in their division, but because of Cincinnati and Baltimore, I got them finishing third. That's just going to be a dogfight, and I have Pittsburgh in the fourth. Also in the AFC South, I have the Texans finishing number one. They're going to pretty much finish where they left off in the playoffs last year. Jacksonville, I have a number two. If they lost a step, Indianapolis, they can do a little something. They could probably take. They could probably take Jacksonville, and then I have the Tennessee Titans at four. Um, and now we're going to go to the NFC. In the NFC, we're going to start with the NFC East. I have Philadelphia, of course. Even though I don't bank with Philadelphia like that as a team, I love Philadelphia. Living in Philadelphia, of course. Don't get me kicked out of here. Philadelphia, Dallas, Washington, New York Giants, and last, of course. The New York Giants actually were on Hard Knocks, so that's actually the new Madden curse. So I got them finishing last. No playoffs for you, New York Giants. Um, NFC West. Of course, everything goes to San Francisco. So I have San Francisco at one. Number two, I got the Rams. Number three, I have the Seahawks. Um, and you know what? The Seahawks and the Rams, they can kind of flip and flop too. So that that number is not that placement is not certain. For the Arizona Cardinals, I have them finishing last just because that's just how this is a numbers game. NFC North, I have Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota. Minnesota might be a train wreck this year. Chicago might have a chance to be somewhat relevant. Shout out to Daryl, sorry ass Bears in Chicago. Green Bay and Detroit, they're pretty much going to be fighting for number one, basically. But I think Detroit is going to take that. They're also going to finish where they left off last year by probably going to the NFC Championship, hopefully maybe a Super Bowl berth. Shout out to Barry Sanders. And shout out to Amon St. Ra. I actually got him in one of my drafts, so hopefully he does good for me. He produces. In the NFC, last but not least, the NFC South, I have Atlanta, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Carolina. Carolina, of course, is going to finish last anyway. New Orleans, they're going to finally finish. They're going to be fighting for just to get to the basement. New Orleans and Carolina, because I think after this year, I think there's going to be a lot of people. They're going to be jettisoning that team anyway. There's going to be a lot of people leaving that team anyway. Carr's going to be gone. Um, Saunders is going to be gone. Kamara might leave too. The coach might leave. Everybody might leave. In the words of the great, Money Mike, aka Cat Williams, everything must go. Maybe even you. Um, so pretty much the only relevant teams in that division in that weak NFC South would probably be Atlanta and Tampa Bay. And Atlanta could probably sneak in there just based on personnel. Kyle Pitts is a good tight end, but he's more like a receiver. He's just a receiver. You just have a tight end, position attached to your name. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay could. Excuse me, I think Atlanta can run with like a probably like a three receiver set and kind of confuse most defenses, make them work a little bit more like how they do like small ball in the NBA, like with like four guards and one big, four out, one in. Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay could be number one because Tampa Bay is consistent. They might have like a mediocre record, but they still make a way to get to the playoffs, to get in the wild card. They pull a couple upsets just like last year with Philadelphia. But yeah, but I do have Atlanta finishing first in the NFC South. I mean, because it's just a weak division this year, unfortunately, and yeah, you can just do what you can do in that division. So anything can happen. So that's pretty much my rundown for my different divisions. Everything like that. Also, I got a chance to do a couple fantasy leagues over the weekend, and we're having a great time. I can't wait for the games to actually start. Um, yeah, I mean, most of my teams are pretty solid. I'm gonna give you a rundown on who's on my roster in the in the basement fantasy football for 2024. Quarterback is Josh Allen. I got Michael Evans, Brendan Ayuk, Brees Hall, Travis Etienne, uh, Freemuth, tight end for Pittsburgh. I got T. Higgins, Santos, my kicker, and my defense is Miami. So it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad team, even though like Yahoo Fantasy gave me like a D minus for my picks and whatnot. Whatever. I'm still going to dominate anyway. And let me just go into my other fantasy, my other fantasy teams that I have. For the Gridiron Gurus. I think this team is more dominant per se because I was kind of careful with this, but then again I was and I was a little careless with it. But let's see here. Who do I have? Um, of course, I got Josh Allen again as my quarterback. He was available. I got Christian McCaffrey, which was a good pickup. Uh, Dwayne Acney, T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison's my sleeper. Of course, I got Freermuth again as my tight end one. My flex is Walker, and I got Moody as my kicker from San Fran, and my defense is special teams with the Ravens. I should do numbers with that. And then also, last but not least, let's see here. Last but not least, where is my other? Yes, my ESPN fantasy. Yes, this is the more dominant team. And let me bring it up here. Un momento. All right, here we go. This is my wild card squad. I got AR5 at my quarterback. I got Damian Pierce as my RB1. Gus Edwards is RB2. I got Amon St. Brown as my wideout one. Brandon Ayuk is wideout two. Mark Andrews is my tight end, which is pretty darn good. Jared Judy's my sleeper on this team. Jared Judy's my flex. My special teams defense is the Bengals, and Carlos Santos is my kicker. So I think out of those three leagues that I'm in, I think I should go two out of three. I'm just saying. I think I should go two out of three, and that's domination at the door. So if you want to answer it, go ahead and answer it. But mama, there goes that man. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to give I just wanted to see you guys real quick, and also give you a quick rundown on the different divisions. Like I said, I'll have more information, a little bit more breakdown, a little bit more emphasis on the players to watch. Also, whether it's live football or fantasy football, just let me know like who your players are, and I'll let you know if they're a go or a no go, and also if you should start them or sit them. So I can't wait to actually talk to you guys again. I'll see you guys after the Labor Day weekend. So you guys be safe out there. If you guys are going to the beach, please watch yourselves out there as well. And this is KC from In the Basement with Next Step and K. And I hope to see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, guys. Be safe. Love you guys.